Thank you so much for being on Eastside Radio's Between the Covers.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I guess it's interesting having you as a musician and also an author actually on a dedicated book review program. So
it's good, actually. You know, I personally I love talking about the book as a separate thing to the music, which is great. You know, it's because sometimes they do cross over, so it is nice.
They do cross over, especially in this book, Remember June. Why did you decide to go to the dual CD and book approach?
Well, you know, it wasn't an intentional thing at the start. Basically, I was working on the book for about a year on and off, and I was, you know, I suppose in the last 20% of the book, and deadline was just up ahead, and that's when I got the go ahead to write and record my new album. And I just found I was so involved with the story at that stage, the characters and everything else, that the inspiration I was having for writing came from the book. So so they linked that way, theme-wise, more so than anything else. And I just thought it was the right thing to do to give them the same title, since they kind of came from the same source.
We'll get to share with the listeners some of the music and the feel of it through that way, but it adds a really interesting element to have a CD and kind of characters in music and a book. I was going to ask the feeling of searching and the extra dimension. Is that what you were going for, like exactly? Yeah,
it was. You know, with definitely in this book, it's a journey of some sort of nature, I suppose, and it is an emotional journey, and that's what I was aiming for. It's you know, there's relationships, there's brothers trying to escape the troubles of Northern Ireland, setting up a new life, and I suppose battling their way through the years that followed, and while it does have those moments that are happy and bright and the cheerier moments, it is one of those sort of stories that it does have a darker undertone as well, which is exactly what I wanted. I did want it to have a little bit more to it, both character-wise and setting-wise, so that when readers are reading it, they're at least involved in their surroundings as well. It's just these little side stories.
Yeah, there are lots of little side stories and great characters. It's very complicated. Was it a risk to go for a more complicated angle with Remember June than your last book, One More Time?
Yeah, you know, with One More Time was kind of my first attempt. Well, it was my first attempt at writing a book. I had tried many other books along the way, but I suppose it was my first finished piece of writing, and it came from a place of well, basically I was traveling at the time throughout India and Nepal, and I was, you know, I left my job, and I was kind of a free spirit roaming around, both my wife and I, and we were just enjoying life and having, you know, enjoying the fact that we weren't tied down to work, and that book came from that time in our lives, and when it came to writing this book, I suppose I did want to step up a little bit. I did want to take the focus away from my own life as well, because on One More Time there's a fair bit of me in it, and with this book I didn't really want that. I didn't want the focus to be back on, you know, people might read it and say, oh, is Damien really like this, or is it, you know, because I got a lot of that with the first book, and this time I just didn't want that.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to move around a bit. It moves between the tenses 1990 and 1980, and I wanted that to happen so that you know, it gives it a little bit of an angle, something different,
and a bit of a depth and challenge as to your writing, to show I am a serious writer here. Is that what you're going for as well?
Oh, well, that wasn't really important to me. It definitely was. It was, you know, the second of anything that everybody else says is a big milestone, and this was a big milestone for me. It was really important to, you know, the first book came out, I suppose, post my first album and all the rest, and you know, around that time, a lot of people weren't too sure, is it a biography, or is it, you know, will it have pictures and all, you know, all that sort of stuff, and you know, got a really good response, but I knew with this book it was really important to definitely firmly establish that writing is a major part of what I do, or what I love to do, and aside from music, and it is, as, you know, legitimate for me as music.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd like to ask you a bit more about that. But just a second ago, you were saying with One More Time, you were freer, you were on a journey, and I know you've gone for different characters and stronger development with your characters in this book. But, and you're trying to get away, thankfully, because some characters and some things they say, my goodness, you wouldn't want that to reflect upon yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with the description of Maddie and the relationship with child, surely that experience and that part of your life has to come through.
Well, that's where the book started. It started off with me being a parent. I think when I started the book, I just had my second son at that stage. So I was still at that very early stage with a 2-year-old and a brand spanking new baby to bounce around the house. And I was watching every single thing they were doing and everything I was doing as well. And I started writing little stories, little doodles more than anything else about what I was observing on a day-to-day basis. And it was from there that the idea of the whole book came from. And it did branch off from there. So that the story between Dave and Maddie, certainly in the early years, that's probably the only part of the book that does show my own experiences there. But after that, I just decided no, we'll definitely branch off. And like you said, some of the characters, thank God they're not like me. Some of them are extreme characters.
Yeah, I just remember one line. I think it's Stephen says to get rid of a girl, he just farts.
That's it. There you go. That's not me. There you go.
I was wondering if that's a technique you'd try.
No. That's not me. So.
You actually on that topic. You must have a lot of girls and a lot of fans. I know. When I mentioned I was having this chat with you today, aunts, grandmas and mates alike, like the whole range of ages seem to be excited by your name and your work.
Oh, that's nice. Now, it's weird. It's a broad interest, which is great. And it helps on so many levels with the shows and with the writing and all the rest. It's great because it's not tied into any particular age group, which is a cool thing. Because sometimes that can be very limiting as well. If you know for a fact, okay, look, the only people that listen to my stuff or read my stuff are this category. Then if you throw in a couple of swear words or whatever, oh no, they're going to be offended by that. Oh, I can't do that. And then it all gets very difficult then because you do worry. And even Stephen's comment, you would worry putting in things like that because you go, oh no, someone might get the wrong idea. Yeah. How
do you balance that relationship between being a creative author with license to do anything in your book and having that personality and stage profile?
Well, the good thing about the books is books you can do anything, and I suppose I'm experiencing that a little bit more now than ever before. Where say post my first album, and that initial massive big hype or whatever. I was very conscious at that stage about things I said, things I did, your persona, who you are, and then as time's gone on, I've realised I know my audience now. I know them a lot better, and I know that you don't have to kind of spoon feed your audience either. I've realised over the last while that they're very forgiving of different things, and they're also very accepting of different things. So when it comes to the writing, I now know that I can write as per what the characters need, and the audiences who read the books will accept it and get involved. And I think if those things aren't there, it doesn't become real anymore. The reality disappears from the book, and that's what I love about this story, because it's all dialogue based. It was a very dialogue story. It was really important to me that what they said is what real people would actually say, and it's not kind of sugar coated in a way at times to make sure that I come out of it looking all right. So.